Well, hello everyone. Today we'll study about logs in vRealize automation. My name is Yashasvi Avasthi and let's get started. So for the scope, now this module covers the basic understanding of logs in VRA. This one shall be well acquainted with the brief knowledge of VRA and its user interface portals, deployment architecture and components of VRA, types of agents and their associations, understanding of multiple tabs present in VRA, and the different user role as well as their interactions in vRA. Log locations are spread across multiple locations depending on the architecture of vRA environment, whether it's the minimal architecture or the distributed one. Now these are the log location and generic log content. The best practice is to go for the full log bundle that consists of all the logs present within vRA architecture that can be obtained from vRealize Automation Appliance Management website under Clusters tab. So now, for the ease of understanding the log files for you all, I've segregated the logs into two parts. The first part is the vRealize Automation Appliance logs, and the second part is IaaS server logs. So let's go to the first part. In VRA logs, the first we should be focusing on is the framework logs. The framework logs is basically a parent folder where all the logs are present of VRA. The location of the framework log is given here, the VRA log VMware. Now these locations for vRealize Automation Appliance can be traversed through either WinSCP or through putty session. I recommend to use WinSCP so that the log file can be steadily downloaded on your local computer for any observation or further reference in case of any troubleshooting. So within the framework logs, the first among we have is the vRA appliance configuration logs. Now during the deployment of the OVA or the OVF file of vRA, we give some configurations that need to give during the installation of vRA over vSphere or vCenter. So all that configuration is stored in the vcac-config.log. Now, if we tick mark the telemetry information or the customer user end license communication information at the end of the installation of vRA, then that telemetry log is stored in the vcac telemetry log. Any configuration related to orchestrator, any workflow that we have added, any plugin that we have added, any REST operation that we have added in VRO are stored in catalina.out. Any change in configuration with respect to control center, any workflow that we have added, any plugin that we have installed, any upgradation in the plugin are stored in the control center.log. The status of workflows in VRO, the running information, the logs that are generated due to a workflow ran are stored in the server.log, depending on which server in case of distributed deployment, depending on which server the workflow ran, the server.log is generated. Now the Horizon UI, the Horizon workspace logs, the identity manager logs are stored in the VMware Horizon Catalina.log. Depending on the servers of vRealize Automation, the log that is generated due to these servers because of the services that are present within vRA that are supporting the features on vRA portal, those logs are stored in catalina.out. All the database logs, the vPostgres database log, the internal database of vRA, those logs are stored in postgres.csv. And since you may know that the log is stored in the form of table in vPostgres, hence the extension .csv. One thing that one should keep a note of is that the orchestrator configuration log, the VIDM server log, and the vRealize automation server log, all are having Catalina as the file, but the difference is in the location. The automation server log are present in the vCAC folder, whereas the orchestrator configuration log are present in the VCO configuration folder, and the last VIDM server log is present in the Horizon folder. So this was all about logs in vRealize automation appliance. Next we come upon IaaS server logs. Now, depending whether your deployment is minimal or distributed, the logs are segregated, but the location on the Windows computer will be same. So the website logs, the IaaS website logs, are present under vCAC server website logs. The DEM orchestrator logs, the distributed execution manager logs, are present under DEM OR / logs / DEM OR _ all. The DEM worker logs, other than the orchestrator, we have the worker. So the DEM worker logs are present under DEM WR / log / DEM WR _ all. The repository logs, the model manager web logs, are present under vCAC server model manager web / logs. The manager service logs, the component of IaaS that manages all the other components, that helps in communication between all the other components of IaaS, the logs of which are present under vCAC server logs. So this was all about logs in vRealize automation. To go more in detail, you can access the log, you can go through the logs and can see what information they contain. But again, I must say that the best practice is to download the log bundle, because it gives the consolidated logs of all the servers, of all the components of VRA deployment architecture at one place and is visible to you. So I have told you the meaning of each log and where they are located inside the VRA or the IaaS server. But let's take a glimpse of the logs so that to know how to see the error within the logs. So what I'll do is, taking the help of WinSCP software, I'll go through the logs, enter the hostname, enter the username as root and root password, click on login, click on continue. So here we can see at the right are the files of the appliance, the VRA appliance, and in the left is the files or the file system of my jump server. Let's go to the main folder, go to var, let's go to logs, then we need to go to VMware. Okay, so this folder we call as the framework logs. Here all the logs of the VRA as well as its services are present. The components of VRA, the identity service, the Postgres, the orchestrator control center as the orchestrator configuration logs, the telemetry logs, all the logs are present within these framework logs. So first, the most important log that we sometime may need to sort out is the VRA server log. So let's go to vCAC, and a vCAC, let's go to catalina.out. Okay, so this is the file which we call as the VRA server log. Let's download this one on the desktop itself. Also, with catalina.out, let's download catalina.log on the desktop itself. Now, along with that, what other file we can see is the telemetry logs, which is present in the telemetry. These are the telemetry collector log. Let's go to the main folder for the framework logs. Okay. Let's go to the framework logs. Let's go to Horizon folder. Under Horizon, we can see catalina.log. This is for the identity manager logs. Let's take it out as well. Okay. Other than that, let's dig up some more files from VRA. Let's go on VCO. The VCO folder contains logs about VRO orchestrator and VRO client, or the workflows that we make on VRO client. Now let's go on App Server. App Server contains the workflows or the logs with respect to VRA client. And the configuration folder, the other one, contains the logs about the control setup. Here we can see the catalina.log. Now this folder will contain all the logs of the VRO client. Let's download this as well. Okay, so let's go to the logs. So the first we see is the catalina.log, which is of the vRealize automation server log. It contains the consolidated log of the vRealize automation server. The log consists of all the services that are running at the back end to which govern the features of vRealize automation. Let's maximize the window. If you see the size of the file, it grows as the usage on VRA increases. It will range from 1.5 to 2 GB at a time. So in this we can see the different modules have been executed with respect to different services in vRA, and the response that we get is displayed on the logs as a content as string. We can see the model com.vmware vcat tools tomcat db and its executable path within vRA. So it's easy to read. The conditions are we should know what we are reading. Now for the error part, to see if there is any fault or not, or to see whether any user has created any error or any warning within vRA appliance or not. So there was one condition when I tried to access the portal but I entered wrong credentials. So let's see whether it's coming or not. We can see the HTTP 401 error occurred when fetching service methods from vra-01a.corp.local /vcac/rpc endpoint. So this means that we are not able to access the page or the content because of the invalid login credentials. So like this, we need to sometimes get in touch with the logs so as to know that where our error occurred within VRA. Now here, all the services that are running backend in VRA have some of the response codes or some of the content as string response, which is displayed in the logs. For instance, we can see like the endpoint configuration service has finished its ping at this millisecond. The portal service, which I have categorized under the management service, have finished pinging at this millisecond. The software service under the management service only has finished its pinging at 61,600 milliseconds. So like this, we can see that which services are trying to ping again and again and communicating with VRA, WAMI portal, and which services are not communicating and are dead. This is very helpful in troubleshooting of the services as well as to see which services are active and which are not, so that we can easily rectify them. So similarly, let's catch up to another log file, that is the telemetry collector file. So the telemetry collector log is basically governing all the logs that are pertaining to any telemetry information that is being sent or received from VRA or the VMware appliances to the VMware website for the sake of improving customer experience as well as improving their software. So we can see that at this point of time, the telemetry was enabled. Is telemetry enabled equal to 2? It means that telemetry was enabled. So it was set as the frequency updater and the frequency of telemetry collection job was weekly. And now we can see that the telemetry enabled is equal to false. That is, the telemetry has been disabled. So hence, the telemetry job module had cleared the files and is now in off state. So like that, we can read different logs depending on what they do. Similarly, let's go to the Catalina log for the VRO server. Now, the VRO server log, also known as the Catalina log, we have downloaded it from VRO slash app server slash catalina.log. So here we can see the different logs for different workflows that ran or the different plugins that we added through VRO client. We can see all the processes that happened within VRO over this log. So we can observe whether the standard engine started for the VRO or not. We can see what is the path, how the Java memory is running, how the different services, the VCO configurator, the VCO server is running. We can see that whether the directory or the Postgres database, if externally used, is available or not. So by means of logs, we can give ourselves more elasticity to examine the issue and to rectify it so as to maintain the proper functionality of an appliance. So similar to the VRA appliance log, let's go and check some of the IaaS logs as well. Let's take a remote connection to the IaaS server. This is the URL for the IaaS server. Let's click on connect. Now since the public key is being shared, so it will directly connect to the IaaS server. But in case the certificates are not shared or the public key is not shared, It will ask for credentials and need to enter the credentials and click on login. So this is the IaaS server in our environment, and let's take a look at the logs. Go to localhost C, go to program file 86, then let's go to VMware, let's go to vCAC folder. Under vCAC we have all the logs present. So first let us check the server logs. Let us check the IaaS website logs. Go to logs. Let's open webadmin_all. Now all these logs that are present in IaaS server can be available or can be easily viewed from monitoring tab under the infrastructure tab of vRealize self-service portal. Like we can see that the IaaS server log can be viewed over the audit log tab in infrastructure tab under monitoring. So here we can see one of the action that has been performed whose auditing has been saved in the IaaS server, that is the fabric group development is being created by cloud admin user at corp.local domain. So this contains the IaaS server log contains log about provisioning of machines or any workflow or any stage of the master workflow VMPS 32 master workflow or any stage or any event that occurred with respect to the virtual machine that are in provision by self-service portal. Next, let us take a look over other logs as well. Let's go to server. Coming upon the server, let's go to logs. Let's go to all logs. So these logs are same that we can find under administration tab in event logs. It contains the information about the different endpoint ping that is made by proxy agent or by DEM workers over the endpoints. So here we can see the data collection reports or the vCenter response over a particular ping that has been made by the agent or VRA. Here we can also see the trace ID of the particular endpoints and also the response that is given by each endpoint to VRA. This is all about the manager server logs. Let's go to other logs as well. Under demo execution manager folder in vCAC. So under demo execution manager folder we find both the dem orchestrator role as well as the dem worker logs. So let's go to dem orchestrator logs. So these are the dem orchestrator logs that we can see under the workflow history logs or the logs tab under infrastructure in monitoring tab. So here it contains the overall information about the status of DEM orchestrator as well as the what workflows it has executed in past or the history of the workflows that it ran and what was the status of the workflow that is executed and to which DEM worker it was assigned by the DEM orchestrator. So here we can see all the logs present under this dem orchestrator underscore all logs. We can check for the different dem sessions as well as whether which node or which orchestrator was active or inactive in case of distributed deployment. Now let's take a look for the dem worker logs as well on the dem folder. Now the dem worker log collects all the logs of the workflows that are being executed by each DEM worker, depending on the distributed deployment or minimal deployment. The number of logs are generated. Like in an environment, since there is only a single DEM worker, so a single log file is present that contain all the logs of the same DEM worker. But in case of distributed deployment, the number of DEM underscore all logs depends on the number of nodes in the environment. Like for two DEM worker in the environment, there will be two DEM underscore all logs. So it contains the information about where it triggered, on what virtual machine it triggered, what activity it triggered, and at particular point of time what was DEM worker status, like it was executing, or the execution has been completed, or the state has been closed, or it has been successful or failure. It also shows the trace ID or the app ID according to which or what it is implementing or executing over the virtual machine. So these were all the logs with respect to the IaaS server as well. So this was all about I discussed in logs in vRealize automation. We traversed through each and every log that were discussed in the slides, and also I told what we can traverse in respect to troubleshooting of vRealize automation or the IaaS server from the logs. So this was all about the logs. My name is Yashasvi Avasti. I'm a part of Drives Autonomics HCL, and I would like to say thank you.